The enormous chamber stretched beyond sight, filled with beings that defied human imagination. Ambassador Hyun walked steadily down the crystalline pathway, his footsteps echoing in the vast space. Behind him, Dr. Kim and 3 other Earth delegates followed, their small forms dwarfed by the towering alien representatives surrounding them. Giant creatures made of living crystal chimed softly as they discussed among themselves. Energy beings flickered like colorful flames, speaking in bursts of light. Massive arthropods clicked their mandibles in what passed for laughter among their kind. All of them watched the humans with barely concealed amusement. The council speaker, a being of pure thought that appeared as a shifting constellation of stars, addressed the assembly. Its words formed directly in everyone's minds, carrying the weight of eons. These young ones from the 3rd planet believe they possess the solution to the quantum storm threat. Let us hear their proposal. More ripples of amusement passed through the chamber. The Zafrani delegate, a towering crystal formation that had witnessed the birth of stars, chimed in harmonics that translated to polite dismissal. We appreciate the humans' enthusiasm, but they have been spacefaring for less than a century. Our civilizations measure our experience in millions of years. Dr. Kim stepped forward, activating her small holographic projector. The device struggled to display clearly in the chamber's alien atmosphere, but managed to show complex mathematical equations and simulations. The storm approaches in 34 months. Our calculations indicate traditional energy shields will fail against its quantum nature. However, by creating controlled graviton fluctuations, we can guide the storm's path rather than trying to block it. The assembly erupted in what could only be described as laughter. The crystalline beings chimed like wind through caves. The energy beings pulsed with colors that conveyed mirth. Even the usually stoic hive mind representatives shared waves of amused disbelief. Graviton manipulation. The Tok'ra collective spoke as one voice. You propose to wrestle with the fundamental forces of space-time? Your mathematics are quaint. Hyun maintained his composure, though his knuckles whitened as he gripped his briefcase. We understand your skepticism, but our simulations show promising results. If we could demonstrate, no need, interrupted a massive being that resembled a living mountain. We have seen many young species propose wild solutions to problems they cannot comprehend. It is endearing, but we must leave these matters to those with proper experience. The council speaker's thoughts carried a note of finality. Humanity's offer is noted and appreciated. The council will handle this crisis using proven methods developed over millennia of experience. Your time and effort would be better spent preparing your world for evacuation, should our defenses prove insufficient. But sir, Kim began, holding up data tablets that no one would even look at. The matter is closed, chimed the Zafrani delegate. Return to your world, young ones. Let the elders handle this storm. The delegates began to disperse, their various forms of locomotion creating a symphony of sounds and movements. As they left, Hyun caught fragments of their conversations. Adorable. Really? Black hole manipulation, can you imagine? They'll learn given a few thousand years. The human delegation gathered outside the chamber, the weight of rejection settling on their shoulders. Nari, their science officer, shook her head slowly. They didn't even look at our data. Minjun, the logistics coordinator, checked his digital assistant. The storm will hit the outer systems first, millions of lives on those worlds. Kyung, their head of engineering, remained silent, but his expression said everything. Dr. Kim looked at her colleagues, then at Ambassador Hyun. How long do we have? 34 months, 2 days, 14 hours, Hyun replied without checking any device. He'd known the timeline by heart since their arrival. They walked in silence down the corridor leading to their shuttle. Other species passed them, some nodding politely, others ignoring them entirely. None seemed concerned about the approaching disaster, confident in their ancient technologies and time-tested solutions. As they reached their small transport vessel, Kim turned to face her team. Begin quantum communication with Earth. Priority. Alpha clearance. Tell them to begin construction immediately. Nari raised an eyebrow. Without council approval? We offered to help, Kim said quietly, watching alien ships glide past their smaller craft. They said no. That doesn't mean people have to die, Minjin nodded slowly. Project Prometheus? Project Prometheus, Hyun confirmed, sealing the shuttle door behind them. If they won't let us help officially, we'll do it unofficially. Begin construction of graviton generation stations across the solar system. We have work to do. As their small ship departed the massive council station. The ancient beings continued their deliberations inside, confident that their traditional methods would suffice. They had weathered cosmic storms before. They would weather this one too. Only the humans looked back at the station with grim determination, knowing that sometimes the newest eyes see what ancient ones miss. Retrice fate months had passed since the council meeting. Deep in Earth's solar system, construction sites now dotted the darkness like stars. Massive metal structures grew larger each day, powered by humanity's collective determination. Dr. Kim floated in the control room of Station Alpha, watching holographic displays that showed construction progress. Around her, technicians worked at their stations, sending commands across millions of kilometers. The coffee machine hummed constantly, keeping the night shift awake. How are the Mars generators coming along? She asked, pulling herself toward the main console. Junsu, her project coordinator, looked up from his screens. Ahead of schedule, actually. The crews are working 18-hour shifts. The lunar base is fully operational, too. And nobody's detected us yet? The stealth fields are holding. As far as the galaxy knows, we're just doing normal space construction. Junsu switched his display to show a map of the solar system. Station Beta and Gamma are at 70% completion. Delta is the problem. Dr. Kim studied the data. Station Delta sat in the asteroid belt, disguised as a mining operation. It was the most difficult to build, but absolutely essential for their plan. The aliens? Still building their traditional shields, Minseo answered from her engineering console. She pulled up surveillance data showing massive energy barriers being constructed around alien worlds. They're following the same defensive patterns from the last cosmic storm 5,000 years ago, which failed to stop 30% of the storm's effects, Kim reminded them. Right. But they're convinced this time will be different. Kim pushed herself to the observation window. Below them, thousands of human workers in spacesuits maneuvered giant graviton generators into position. Each generator was the size of a small building, designed to bend space-time itself. Any word from home? She asked. Junsu nodded. Production facilities on Earth are working at maximum capacity. Every major government has declared Project Prometheus a top priority. China, America, European Union, African Coalition, India, Japan. Everyone's contributing. And people? Families are moving to construction sites to be near their work. Children are learning advanced physics in makeshift schools. It's like nothing anyone's ever seen. Kim smiled slightly. Humans at their best, coming together when everything's at stake. She returned to the console and activated the secure communication link. This is Alpha Station to all construction sites. Status report. Voices crackled through from across the solar system. Station Beta here. Graviton alignment complete. Beginning testing phase. Station Gamma reporting. All generators operational, working on final calibrations. Station Delta. Progress slower than expected. Asteroid field causing complications, but we're adapting. Kim listened to each report, her mind automatically calculating timelines. They had 26 months remaining before the storm arrived. Dr. Kim, Nari called from her station, we're picking up unusual activity in the outer system. Deep space telescopes are detecting alien scout ships. Ours or theirs? Theirs. Looks like they're monitoring the storm's approach. They're getting nervous. Kim studied the data. The alien ships were still far away, focused on the approaching storm rather than human activities in the inner system. Keep tracking them, but maintain our schedule. Has anyone tried to contact us? Not directly, though we've intercepted some communications between alien worlds. They're starting evacuation preparations for the Rim territories. Minseo looked up from her console. Doctor, our power requirements are exceeding projections. If we push the generators to full capacity, we'll need 40% more energy than originally calculated. Kim considered this. Can we do it? We'll have to. The alternative is watching the storm tear through inhabited worlds. Just then, alarms began beeping softly. Red lights flickered across multiple screens. What now? Kim asked. Junsu worked quickly, pulling up new data. The storm has accelerated. It's moving faster than the alien predictions. How much faster? We lost 3 months. New arrival time is 23 months, not 26. The control room fell silent. Every human present understood what this meant. Less time to build, less time to test, less time to save the galaxy. Kim floated to the center of the room, looking at her team. Then we work faster. Contact all stations. Increase shifts from 18 hours to 20. Begin emergency. Protocols and she paused, knowing the weight of her next words. Notify Earth. We need more resources, more people, more everything. As her team scrambled to implement the new orders, Kim turned back to the window. In the distance, she could see the construction. Lights of Station Beta, humans working tirelessly in the void. The galaxy had laughed at their solution. Now they would see what happened when humans were doubted. The work continued in shadows, but time was running shorter. The emergency signal arrived at 0347 Earth Standard Time. Ambassador Hyun woke immediately, recognizing the priority tone that meant everything had changed. He quickly activated his communicator and ran toward the command center. Dr. Kim was already there, staring at the main displays. Her hair had turned gray during the past months, and dark circles shadowed her eyes. She hadn't slept properly in weeks. What's happening? Hyun asked, though he could already see the problem on the screens. The alien shields are failing, Kim replied quietly. Faster than even their worst projections. The displays showed horrifying images transmitted from alien worlds. Massive energy barriers that had protected civilizations for thousands of years were cracking under the storm's quantum effects. Some had already collapsed entirely. How long do they have? Hours. Maybe days. For the closest worlds, the storm is stronger than anyone predicted. Hyun studied the tactical displays. Have they contacted us? Kim nodded, pointing to a blinking communication request. 3 minutes ago, the Galactic Council is asking if we would reconsider sharing our solution. Can we save them? If they follow our plan exactly, yes, but they need to shut down all their shields while we reconfigure space-time. Kim pulled up her calculations. If they keep trying to maintain their barriers while we work, the graviton interference will destroy everything. They're asking us to trust them after they laughed at us. No, Kim corrected gently. They're asking us to save them despite that. And we will. She activated the communication link. The Galactic Council appeared as holograms, their forms flickering with what looked like panic. The ancient beings who had seemed so confident months ago now appeared desperate. The Tok'ra spoke. First, their collective voice strained. Humans, your plan. We're wrong. Our defenses are failing catastrophically. We ask for assistance. Ambassador Hyun stepped forward, diplomatic training taking over. We're willing to help, but you must understand the requirements. Dr. Kim displayed their graviton network on the holographic table. You need to deactivate all energy shields in these sectors. She pointed to broad areas of the galaxy. This will leave your populated worlds completely unprotected for several hours. That's impossible, the crystalline Zafrani chimed, its harmonics distorted by distress. Our people will be defenseless. Your people will die anyway if you don't, Min Jun interjected from his console. He brought up comparative simulations. Your shields give you maybe 12 hours before total collapse. Your evacuation ships can't move entire populations in that time. Our plan isn't perfect, Kim continued, but it's your only chance. We estimate 78% survival rate if you cooperate fully, less than 5% if you try to maintain your defenses. The alien representatives remained silent for what felt like eternity. Through the viewports, they could see the edges of the quantum storm, a wall of twisted spacetime approaching like a tsunami of darkness. Finally, the council speaker's thoughts resonated through the chamber. What must we do? Kim straightened. First, begin immediate shield deactivation in all sectors we've marked. Second, link your navigation systems to our graviton network. Third, trust us completely. And if you fail? Asked a massive mountain-like being. Then we all die together, Kim replied simply. But at least we'll have tried everything possible. The Tok'ra consulted among themselves for several minutes. Their hive mind debated rapidly, weighing options against certain doom. We agree, they announced. Transmitting access codes for our defensive systems now. Across the galaxy, ancient shields began powering down. Worlds that had been protected for millennia suddenly stood naked against the approaching storm. Billions of beings looked at their skies with fear, watching protective barriers fade away. In Earth's command center, alarms blared as data flooded in from alien systems. Shields deactivating as planned, Nari reported. Graviton generators responding to command inputs. Storm impact in 97 minutes, Kyung called out. Kim moved to the master control console. Begin Phase 1 graviton activation. All stations confirm ready status. Voices crackled across the communicators. Station Alpha, ready. Station Beta, all systems nominal. Station Gamma, graviton field stable. Station Delta, standing by for activation sequence. The last human construction in the asteroid belt. Station Delta held the key to their entire plan. Without it, the graviton maze would have a fatal gap. Kim looked at Ambassador Hyun. This is it. Once we start, there's no stopping. Billions of lives depend on what happens in the next 2 hours. Hyun nodded. The rest of the galaxy is trusting us now. Let's show them what humans can do. Kim took a deep breath and reached for the activation controls. Through the viewports, they could see the storm approaching. A wall of quantum energy that would either be diverted by human ingenuity or destroy everything they knew. Initiate graviton field activation, she commanded. All stations, execute. Phase 1. The greatest test of humanity was about to begin. The storm hit like a wave of destruction across the galaxy. Stars themselves seemed to flicker as quantum energy washed over them. On Station Alpha, every alarm screamed at once. Doctor, Kim stood at the center of the command room, her hands moving across holographic controls. Around her, dozens of technicians worked at their stations, sweat dripping in the zero gravity. The storm was stronger than any prediction had shown. Phase 1 active, Nari called out. Graviton anchors holding steady. The space around Earth's solar system began to bend. Invisible to the naked eye, gravity itself twisted into new patterns. The storm's energy struck the first graviton field and curved sideways, like water flowing around a rock. Alien sectors confirming shield shutdown, Junsu reported. Zephrani and Tok'ra fleets standing by for evacuation if needed. The storm crashed into the graviton maze humanity had built. Energy readings spiked beyond anything they had tested for. Then Station Delta's alarms pierced the command center. Dr. Yam. Kim. Kyung's voice cracked with stress. Delta is experiencing massive overload, power levels at 160% and climbing. On the main display, red warnings flashed across Station Delta's status. The asteroid-based generator was taking the full force of the storm's impact as it entered the maze. Can they compensate? Kim asked, already knowing the answer. Negative. The graviton field harmonics are destabilizing. If we lose Delta, the entire maze collapses. Kim watched the numbers climb. At this rate, Station Delta had minutes before catastrophic failure, and they needed 17 more minutes to fully disperse the storm. Patch me through to Delta Station. A young voice came through. Engineering Officer Minho. Dr. Kim, this is Delta. We're hemorrhaging power, but we're still online. What's your status? All automated systems failed. We're on manual control. The graviton generators are burning out one by one, but we're rotating them to maintain the field. How many people do you have? A pause. 143. Kim closed her eyes briefly. Evacuate immediately. We'll compensate with emergency protocols. Negative, Dr. Kim. If we leave, The field collapses in 4 minutes. The storm will tear right through the rim worlds. Minho, that's a direct order. With respect, ma'am, we knew the risks. We have 17 minutes to save those worlds. We're staying. The command center fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. Delta's crew was choosing to die to keep the graviton field operational. Dr. Kim, Minseo whispered, we need a decision. Kim looked at the tactical display. Billions of lives hung in the balance. 6 alien worlds would be destroyed if the field collapsed now. Keep them connected, she ordered quietly. Monitor their power levels constantly. If there's any way to get them out, understood. For the next 10 minutes, the command center listened to calm voices from Station Delta as they rotated failing generators, rerouted power, and manually adjusted field harmonics. Each voice belonged to someone who had volunteered to stay behind. Gravity. Anchor 3 is down, switching to backup. Power coupling on Section 4 is burning out, bypassing. Field strength holding at 92%. We're still operational. Through the cosmic noise, alien worlds sent transmissions of hope and fear. The Zafrani reported storm damage reduced by 80%. The Takra confirmed their populations were safer than any model had predicted. 7 minutes remaining, Kyung announced. Station Delta's transmissions became more strained. Lost main power. Running on emergency backup. Graviton Generator 4 offline. Compensating. Kim. Young Minho's voice came through one last time. Tell our families we were proud to serve humanity. Tell them the storm is bending away from the populated systems. We did it. I will, Kim whispered. The displays showed the quantum storm splitting apart. Its energy guided through the graviton maze and dispersed into empty space. World after world confirmed safety. The Galactic Council transmitted messages of awe and gratitude, but on Station Alpha, the command center marked time in heartbeats. 1 minute to safety threshold, Nari called out. The transmissions from Delta had gone quiet. 30 seconds. Kim watched the final calculations run across her screens. The storm was dispersing exactly as they had planned. Billions of lives saved. Civilizations preserved. 0. Storm dispersal complete. All systems nominal. Cheers erupted across the command center. Technicians hugged each other. Messages poured in from across the galaxy. Celebrations, thanks, disbelief that the plan had worked. But Dr. Kim stood quietly at her console, looking at the final transmission log from Station Delta. 143 names. 143 humans who chose to stand between destruction and the galaxy. Begin memorial protocols, she said softly. File for immediate recognition, and prepare a message for their families. She turned to Ambassador Hyun, who had watched everything in silence. We saved them, she said simply. But the cost? Heroes, Hyun replied, looking at the list of names. They'll be remembered forever. Outside the viewports, the stars shone steadily once more. The quantum storm had passed, guided away by human sacrifice and determination. The galaxy was safe, but humanity would mourn. 2 years had passed since the storm. The Galactic Council chamber looked different now, with human architectural elements blended into the ancient design. Ambassador Hyun walked down the same crystalline pathway he had walked before. But this time alien delegates nodded respectfully as he passed. Dr. Kim sat among the council members, no longer a visitor, but a permanent advisor. Her hair had remained gray, but her eyes held a different expression now, tired but content. She wore a simple uniform bearing the emblem of the Interstellar Institute of Applied Innovation. The council speaker's thoughts filled the chamber, warm and welcoming. Today we gather for 2 purposes: to remember the sacrifice of humanity and to dedicate our new Institute of Learning. The massive holographic display showed the memorial structure built where Earth's primary generators had once stood. 143 lights formed a constellation, each representing a life lost at Delta Station. Never before has one species saved so many others, continued the speaker. Not through weapons or ancient power, but through new thinking and sacrifice. A young human named Jiwoo sat in the visitor section, holding her father's old engineering badge. He had been one of the Delta Station volunteers. Around her, students from dozens of species listened intently. Crystalline beings, energy forms, massive arthropods, and humans all studying together. The storm taught us that age does not always bring wisdom, Dr. Kim addressed the assembly. Sometimes fresh eyes see what ancient ones miss. Our institute will teach this lesson, that every perspective matters. She gestured to the mixed species students. These young ones will learn engineering from both human ingenuity and Zephrani patience. Mathematics combining Tok'ra collective thinking with human individual creativity. They will solve problems none of us could solve alone. The crystalline Zephrani delegate chimed softly, its harmonics translated as gratitude. We were wrong to dismiss humanity's plan. We see now that our ages of experience had made us rigid in our thinking. And we learned that even the newest solutions require ancient wisdom to implement. Kim replied diplomatically, "We succeeded because we combined human innovation with your experience." After the formal ceremony, the council members dispersed. Hyun found himself walking with the massive mountain-like being who had once questioned their plan. "Your species has changed the galaxy," the alien rumbled. "Not through conquest or force, but by showing us how to work together." "We paid a heavy price for that lesson," Hyun reflected. "Yes, but their sacrifice lives on. Look." The alien gestured toward the Institute's main building, where students from different species worked together on projects. Human children learned energy manipulation from beings of pure light. Crystalline species discovered problem-solving techniques from human creativity. Inside the Institute, Jiwoo worked alongside a young Tok'ra on graviton mathematics. Their approaches were completely different, but together they were solving equations that had stumped both species separately. Dr. Kim observed the students through the observation window. "Something good came from tragedy," she told Hyun. "We didn't just save the galaxy, we changed how it thinks." An energy being flickered with curiosity near them. "Dr. Kim, do you think humans would react differently now if another crisis emerged?" Kim considered the question. "I hope so. We learned that skepticism isn't the same as wisdom, and that sometimes the craziest ideas save the most lives. And we learned not to laugh at seemingly impossible solutions," the Zephrani delegate chimed, joining their conversation. Across the galaxy, human technology was being studied and adapted. But more importantly, human philosophy was being taught. The willingness to try impossible things, to sacrifice for others, to think beyond traditional boundaries. As the day ended, Kim and Hyun stood on the Institute's observation deck, watching. The sunset paint alien skies in familiar colors. "Do you think they truly understand what we did?" Hyun asked. "They're learning, just like we learned from them." Kim pointed to the memorial lights glowing softly in the distance. "Those people gave their lives so we could all move forward together. I think they'd be proud of what we're building." A message appeared on Kim's personal communicator. She smiled as she read it. "What is it?" "A joint research proposal. Human scientists, Zephrani engineers, and Tok'ra mathematicians want to work together on quantum storm prediction. They think they can detect threats centuries in advance now." "Prevention, instead of reaction?" "Exactly. And that's real progress." They watched as alien and human students left the Institute together, sharing ideas and laughter in a dozen different languages. The galaxy had not just survived the storm, it had evolved beyond its old boundaries. The memorial lights flickered in the darkness, a reminder of sacrifice and the price of progress. But around them, a new generation was learning to build bridges between species that had stood separate for millennia. The storm had ended, the future was beginning. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.